The first genuine snowfall of December settled over Snowcap Ridge like sifted confectioner's sugar, responding to the mountain town's street lamps with little sparks of light. Inside bitter and sweet, the aroma of dark ganache and cinnamon wove around Emily Bellefeuille as she packed the last white and silver box for the Winter Confections Festival. She was 29, small, soft-spoken, so shy that most customers assumed she whispered because the shop was library quiet, instead of because that was simply her way. "Big day tomorrow," chirped Winona Haskell, her extroverted assistant, whose peppermint-striped scarf trailed dangerously close to a cauldron of melting couverture. Emily nodded. "First truffle contest since my parents retired. Their name is still on the trophy. I'd rather not let the legacy slip." "You'll do fine. Just remember to sleep." Winona clicked off the tempering machine and winked. "And don't dream of poisoned bonbons like last year's mystery novel." Emily managed a laugh, but the thought made her stomach twist. Poison had no place in chocolate. Festival morning dawned with flurries that clung to knitted mittens and mufflers. Inside the cedar-panelled community hall, 6 contestants placed their truffles on linen-covered tables. Emily, flamboyant rival chocolatier Hugo Langdon, shy college student Lucien Reyes, spry twin retirees Rose and Dottie Byers, and newcomer Jules Carmichael, who worked as pastry chef at the ski lodge. Overseeing everything in her forest green parka was Mayor Alden Frost, silver-haired, eagle-eyed, eager to show the county that their remote town could host a first-class food event. Beside her stood the new regional health inspector, Mara Pike. Mara's clipboard matched her lipstick, a severe, no-nonsense crimson. "All entries secured?" the mayor asked. "Sealed, tagged, and photographed," Mara answered. "I'll remain on site until judging concludes." Emily folded her arms to quell a nervous tremor. She peeked at Hugo's display, a pyramid of gold-dusted spheres in mirrored boxes, then at her own modest rows of snowflake-stenciled dark truffles with a whisper of rosemary. A hush fell as 3 judges, Sheriff Tilda Barnes, visiting food critic Sloane Carruthers, and Sister Agnes from the monastery's famed fudge kitchen, lifted their first pieces. Bite, chew, sip of water, jot a note. All perfectly ordinary, until Sloane Carruthers paused, hand to throat. Sister Agnes swayed. The sheriff dropped her pencil with a clang, colour draining from her face. "Call EMS!" someone cried. Chaos rippled across the hall. Hugo staggered to fetch water for Sloane. Emily rushed forward, heart banging, but Winona caught her elbow. "Let the medics work." Within 10 minutes, the judges lay on stretchers, conscious but sweating and nauseated. Sheriff Barnes mustered enough breath to rasp. "Something in the truffles, bitter almond." Mara Pike sealed the display tables under yellow hazard tape. "Nobody leaves until we identify which batch carried the contaminant." But when she opened a random box from each contestant, the sharp odor of almonds rose from every single tray. Emily's vision went starry. All the entries poisoned? Mayor Frost's jaw set. "If we don't have answers by sundown, the festival is cancelled, and Snowcap Ridge becomes a headline for all the wrong reasons." Avalanche activity on the mountain had blocked the highway, which meant the state crime lab could not arrive before nightfall. Sheriff Barnes, recovering in the clinic, deputized her most unlikely helper. Emily perched on the edge of the hospital cot, twisting her mittened strings. "Me? Investigate?" The sheriff's complexion remained ivory, but her blue eyes were clear. "You know chocolate. You know our people. And whoever did this used only enough cyanogenic compound to sicken, not kill." Someone wanted a scene, not a funeral. You can sniff out motive faster than any outsider. Emily swallowed hard. Being shy never shielded her from duty. All right, but I need access and authority. Granted, official volunteer investigator. The sheriff pressed a tin deputy star, borrowed from the Children's Safety Program, into Emily's palm. Take Sergeant Dobbins if you like. Emily shook her head. He's needed on crowd control. I'll manage with Winona. Chocolate emergencies are her specialty. Snow squeaked under Emily's boots as she and Winona returned to the roped-off hall. Mara Pike awaited them, arms folded. I can't let you tamper with evidence, the inspector said. Sheriff's orders. Emily pinned the playful tin star to her apron. Mara's lips thinned, but she unlocked the door. 45 minutes, then I seal the room again. The hall smelled faintly medicinal under the stronger fragrance of cocoa and sugar. Emily approached the long central table, noting the placement of each entry. Clue 1 appeared immediately. Fine powdered sugar, brushed off to one side of every platter, forming partial outlines that looked like tiny pine trees. Winona lifted an eyebrow. You didn't dust yours like that. No. Emily leaned closer. The shape reminded her of the winter stamp that the lodge's pastry kitchen used to mark welcome cookies. Jules Carmichael's batch sat on the table's far end. Emily opened his presentation box, truffles identical to those found elsewhere, with the same accidental pine imprint on the doily. If one saboteur tainted every entry, Winona mused, they had to move fast. That pattern might be their glove imprint. Or a stencil. Emily's gaze drifted to the hall's back door, the service entrance used by vendors. Its lower panel bore fresh scratches and, almost invisibly, a chocolate-brown fingerprint smudge speckled with white. She pressed her fingertip near it. The substance flaked. Confectioner's sugar mixed with cleaner. She slipped the shaving into a sample bag the sheriff had supplied. Mara hovered. Find something. Possibly residue from someone wiping their gloves. Gloves you handled without evidence tape, the inspector retorted. Let professionals decide. Yet she seemed nervous, Emily noted, glancing repeatedly toward her locked clipboard. They had spent 20 minutes, time to question suspects. 1. Hugo Langdon. Hugo's boutique, the Royal Cocoa, gleamed with brass and marble. He wore a burgundy cravat and the air of a man itching for Michelin stars. Sabotage, he barked. Ridiculous. I invested $400 in edible gold for those truffles. Emily studied his hands. No lingering sugar, but faint red indentations marked his wrists. Elastic glove cuffs. Where were you during prep hour? She asked. Right at my station. Asked the twins. They chatted my ear off about their cats. As they left, Winona whispered, He's brash, but poison doesn't fit. Emily agreed. Hugo lived for applause. Mass poisoning would tarnish his brand beyond repair. 2. Rose and Dottie Byers. The sisters occupied a snow-dusted bungalow aromatic with cinnamon potpourri. They gushed over Emily, offering crocheted coasters and licorice tea. We tasted each of our own truffles before packing them, Rose said. No bitterness whatsoever. Maybe the health inspector planted something, Dottie added, voice low as if the teapot might snitch. She's been fining half the eateries in town. Interesting. Yet the twins' batch had been poisoned alongside the rest. Self-harm made no sense. 3. Lucien Reyes Lucien, cheeks flame red from the cold, worked part-time at the gear rental shop. He wrung his beanie in both hands. I'm dead if the festival shuts down. The scholarship committee was supposed to watch the contest. My culinary school dreams, poof. He produced his ingredient receipts, beans, butter, honey, smudged with cocoa but otherwise ordinary. Did you notice anyone near the Truffles after sealing? Emily asked. Just Ms. Pike doing final photos. His brows knitted. And she shooed me away when I dropped my fountain pen. Said the floor was evidence waiting to happen. Winona tapped Emily's sleeve. Pattern emerging. Back at Bitter and Sweet, Emily prepared mugs of thick French hot chocolate and laid all clues on parchment paper. Sugar pine imprints, door smudge, glove marks, inspection anecdotes. Motive, she murmured. Who benefits from a festival shutdown? Winona set her mug down. Besides the local hotel, rooms are already full. Wait, what about budget politics? If the festival collapses, the mayor gets grief, but someone else. Emily opened her laptop to the town council minutes. A recent note. Health Department requests additional emergency funding for expanded inspections due to high-risk holiday food events. Attached was Mara Pike's signature. She asked for money 3 weeks ago, Emily said. Council promised to reconsider after seeing how smoothly the festival ran. Sabotage the festival. Prove it's not smooth. Funding guaranteed. Winona finished. Emily exhaled a cloud of determination. And she had free roam of the hall. At dusk, the town square glowed with bulb strings, but clusters of visitors huddled anxiously around closed cocoa stands. Mayor Frost paced the steps of the municipal building, cell phone pressed against a wool hat. State lab still blocked by snow, she informed Emily. If we scrap the opening parade tonight, tourist dollars evaporate. Emily swallowed a shy person's dread and said, "Give me 1 hour before you cancel." The mayor studied her, then nodded once. 1 hour. Emily found Mara Pike loading boxes into her grey sedan at the motel. "Leaving town?" she asked. Mara jumped. "Inspection backlog in Glacier Falls. I stayed longer than planned. Mind if we chat inside? The wind's fierce." In Mara's motel room, sealed evidence bags filled a briefcase. A whiff of bitter almond laced the air, masked quickly by wintergreen from a scented candle, but unmistakable to Emily's trained nose. Mara noticed her expression and folded her arms. "Your little deputy star doesn't grant search rights." "True." Emily removed 2 travel mugs from her tote. "Then let's share hot chocolate. I value cooperation." Mara hesitated. Emily unscrewed one lid, releasing thick steam. Mara's shoulders softened. She accepted the mug. "I've barely eaten today," she admitted. They sat. Emily let silence thicken like cooled ganache, then said gently, "Bitterness can ruin delicate flavors." The inspector's gaze flicked up. "Excuse me?" "Bitter almond. You chose just enough benzaldehyde concentrate to sicken, not to kill. Enough to demonstrate risk and win more funding." Mara's grip tightened around the mug. "That's quite an accusation." "You used disposable gloves with a pine tree grip pattern. Sugar dust caught in the texture and transferred to every platter when you photographed the truffles. You wiped the gloves on the door cleaner, leaving residue I collected." Winona emerged from the adjoining door. She had circled the building to stand a silent witness, another backup plan. Emily continued, "We can test your gloves for cyanogenic traces. We can also check supply store records. Derek at Mountain Provisions says you bought 2 vials of bitter almond essence Tuesday, claiming it was for allergen testing." Mara's face drained of colour. "No one was supposed to get seriously hurt," she whispered. "The council ignores reports. 3 diners failed Grade B inspections last month. What if a real contaminant had struck? I needed them to see." By becoming the threat yourself? Emily's voice trembled, not with fear, but with something akin to anger, a rare emotion for her. People trust Truffles, their small joys in winter darkness. You tainted joy to prove a point. Footsteps sounded. Mayor Frost and 2 deputies appeared in the doorway, summoned by Wynona's earlier text. Mara set the mug on the nightstand, shoulders sagging. "I have the right to remain silent," she said, almost in relief. An hour later, the community hall's doors reopened, cleared by the deputies after packaging all contaminated truffles for disposal. Emily and Wynona wheeled in emergency crates of fresh sweets from Bitter and Sweet and the royal cocoa. Hugo had insisted on helping salvage the event. Mayor Frost's voice rang through the microphone. "Thanks to local heroism, the danger is past. Our festival continues." Cheers burst like pop rocks. Children jingled mittened hands. Tourists resumed selfie lines beside the massive pine draped in fairy lights. In a less formal corner of the hall, Emily nervously accepted praise from Rose and Dottie from Lucienne, who learned that the scholarship committee was still arriving tomorrow. And even from Sloane Carruthers, recovered enough to request an exclusive interview titled "The Chocolatier Who Saved Christmas." Emily's cheeks warmed hotter than cocoa. She retreated to a window ledge arrayed with fresh truffles and watched snow fall beneath coloured lights. "You did it," Wynona said, passing her a rosemary dark truffle. "Parents' legacy intact." "More than that." Emily bit into the shell. The ganache bloomed with winter herbal notes, bright and hopeful. I spoke up. The shy chocolatier found her voice. Outside, sleigh bells chimed as the parade restarted, each note declaring that sweetness, real, honest sweetness, had survived the storm.